Love, live, life. Life can be glorious and hideous. Stick your feet to the ground, but don't think you are counted out. Don't let the wind pull you and tear you apart. Let yourself live freely and love, and you'll be happy. No limits. Just keep on.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another Iron Will podcast with me, Shane Warner, and
John Chase.
So what this podcast is all about is we are trying to get stories from people that have been through a traumatic experience in their lives and came out a different person.
Yeah, they have all created an iron will. So what is an iron will? A burning determination that cannot be stopped or hindered by anything, willing to do anything to get a desired outcome, extremely resilient. So what we like to say is just keep punching.
Yeah. So sit back and relax, and we're going to start the show. And today we have Nicole Rogers on the podcast with us. And how I know Nicole is from the On the Dash group page on Facebook. And so when I started my group page on Facebook, Iron Will, she was one of the first to join that. And she was always like contributing and stuff like that to that group page. And so I decided to make her admin, and that was honestly one of the best decisions that I've ever made.
Yeah, it's great.
So I'm just going to have Nicole kind of introduce herself and just take it away, Nicole.
Okay, hi, I'm Nicole, single mom of two amazing children. My son is 19, and my daughter is 17. I work for the state of Maryland doing their inventory, which I absolutely love. And I'm so excited to do this and share my story with you guys.
Yeah, we're really excited too. It's obvious that like family means a lot to you. And that's what I kind of respect about you the most. Like seems like you're always active in your kids' lives.
Oh, very much so. They saved my life sometimes, Yep.
Mm-hmm. So I want to start this podcast off by you telling us about age 17 to 22 years old.
Okay, so like most kids, I kind of had a wild side. Really got into, started with the drinking and pot smoking. And then it kind of just spun out of control. I was arrested for the first time at 17 for possession of marijuana. And it just, like I said, it just spiraled out of control. We didn't realize at the time that I had mental health issues, or to the extent that they were. And so it kind of, once I graduated high school, the partying really ramped up. I started doing any and every drug you can imagine. Very promiscuous in my actions. It was, of course you think it's fun at the time. You don't realize the damage you're actually causing.
Yeah, right.
I was 19 or 20 the second time I was arrested. And again, it was for possession of marijuana. And at the time it wasn't it was a slap on the wrist, but at the same time it had more consequences. I was put in outpatient rehab. I'd moved to San Diego right after after being arrested. I had to come home back here to Maryland for court. So I went through the outpatient rehab, and I did really good with it. I never realized you could have withdrawals from marijuana, but the nightmares were
that's
were
crazy.
rough. I left San Diego. A little after I was 21, I flew home on July 4th. And, being 21, it was like, ooh, I can, now I can legally drink. And I started drinking more than I could ever imagine. Some days I wonder how. I was put in the hospital certain times for alcohol poisoning. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
so I want to know what made you turn your life around, you know? What happened to you that really sparked your desire to get better?
Getting pregnant with my son.
Okay.
Sure.
I met my son's father. We are, of course, no longer together, but we are pretty much like the best of friends. We talk constantly. My son actually lives with his dad down in Florida. But I met him at a bar. He was a bouncer, and, you know, really fast relationship, and we got pregnant, and I just knew I was meant to be a mom.
Yep.
And so he, like I said, in some ways, but he doesn't know this, but he'll know now that he saved his mom's life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's great that you look at it that way, because I've seen it over and over where some moms are like, okay, well, I'm not going to do any drugs or drink or anything like while I'm pregnant, but then afterwards, then they start back up.
Yep.
And it's like, man, you went off for that long. Like, why? Like, you might as well just stay off. Like, it's hard, but I'm glad you looked at it that way. Does he, if you told him that, like that he was kind of the reason why? Oh, okay. Maybe.
He'll know now.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe he'll hear the podcast. That's right. Yeah.
But he does know. I was always very open about what I did as a child, because I never wanted him to not think it was, he couldn't come to me, that I wouldn't understand.
Yep.
Right.
With anything.
That was
And
my
I think
goal.
that's an advantage that you can take from this, like your ability to relate with your kids' issues, you know?
For sure.
Yeah. He, and they've always said, and I just actually talked to them about it the other day, they've always said that, you know, like sometimes your kids are going to be like twice as bad as you are. And so I was always like, oh goodness, this is going to be awful. And he is absolutely amazing. He's never gotten into any
How old is
trouble. He's 19.
19.
Okay,
He works in construction, and, you know, he graduated high school. Everything I could want, you know, out of a kid, he's been.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
You know, I can relate with that, because my kids don't know everything that I did, but they have a good understanding. Most of my kids, the older ones, I have 6 daughters, and it's kind of, I don't tell the younger ones some of the things that I did, but the older ones, they kind of know, and it helps them kind of see that there is a chance for people. So if they meet people, they're not going to harshly judge them as much, right? That are going through stuff, right? Which that does help, because I'm like, listen, your mom met me when I was going through all this stuff, and I ended up with her. You know what I mean? So if you literally turn yourself away from some of these people, that the real reason why they're doing the drugs and all the sexual activity and all that kind of stuff is because they're lacking love in the home. Or they're lacking, you know what I mean? And that's what it was for me.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah.
So when I talk to my kids that way, it's like, we give you guys, we support you, we show that we love you, we care for you, all that kind of stuff. That all those other things that you think you could jump into with your friends, like you don't even need to go there. You don't need to experience that. I've been there. I know what it does, and here's my experience. And so it's great being a parent to be able to relate to any other challenges that they have. And it seems like you've done that.
Yeah. You know, I feel, I like you. I want him and my daughter to see mommy was here, but this is where mommy's at now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah. It's great.
I've always wanted, like, for him, if he does get in trouble, to call me.
Yeah.
You know, be like, hey, mom,
I
this happened.
messed up.
You have that trust.
Yeah.
That's great. It's good to have the trust.
Yeah.
And so
many kids don't have that.
They don't. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have 2 kids, right?
Yep.
And so can you tell us a little bit about your daughter?
Yeah. So, Caitlin is, like I said, she's 17. She's had a rough start to life, and she's amazing now. She was born, and a little graphic, but the cord was around her neck, and she ended up hitting the bedpost. Sadly, my doctor was not ready. So she had a rough entrance into the world. Here in the state of Maryland, they test hearing before they discharge children. And they noticed that Caitlin she wasn't responding in her left ear. So, we had to wait a little while for her to get a little older. And we did find out that she was completely deaf in her left ear.
Okay.
Was that due to the blow to the head, or do you think it was, or not?
That one we've actually struggled with trying to figure out, because by the time she was 7, she became completely deaf in both ears.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But we also noticed that she wasn't doing the things that her brother and my ex-husband has another daughter from a previous relationship. And so you notice that, she's not doing what she should, the growth things, like crawling. So we started getting her checked out through the, different systems out here. We ended up taking her to Johns Hopkins because they thought she was having, I forget the name of the seizures, but Petmore seizures.
Okay.
And through that, we found out that she was born with brain damage. While in utero, her brain didn't fully develop.
That's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a blow. As a mom, you kind of feel guilty.
So what is she diagnosed with?
So she is in a state of, out here, it's considered multiple disabilities. She is deaf, she has autism, and she's brain damage.
But she's doing really good. I've watched videos you've posted on Facebook and stuff like that, and it's amazing how responsive she is, and how she just doesn't seem like anything ever bothers her.
So, she's absolutely amazing. You can, like you said, you see the videos. She's always laughing and giggling and just having a really good time. So going through it all, they thought she would never. Well, they told us she would never walk, and we had her in leg braces, and we were getting ready to start looking at different wheelchairs for her. And I credit my ex-husband more than anything. He was like, nope, she's going to be just the rest of the kids. We're going to, keep trying. We're not going to just give up. And so we did. We kept her in those braces. We worked with her. We had physical therapists, cognitive therapists. And that was just we just raised her like one of the other kids. Schooling was difficult for a very long time. Because there was no, we would put her in one program and they'd say, well, she's disabled, but she's not enough disabled. And then you put her in another one where they were called open classrooms, which is they're a normal school. I call it normal, but what's really normal.
Yeah. Right.
But they put her in with, the average school system, and there would be 10 kids with other, disabilities. And that became, well, she's got too many disabilities. And, Kennedy Krieger tried to help. So now she is actually in a school called Maryland School for the Deaf.
Okay.
And she's really excelled. That's where the personality that you see, that's where it came from.
The funny personality.
She has blossomed so much. She actually, prior to COVID, she lives at the school Monday through Friday. And their goal is to teach kids how to, one, of course, as a deaf person, live in a hearing society, but also a lot of these kids do also have autism and other, like I said, disabilities. But they work with these kids to get them to work in, jobs, stocking shelves, working at floral shops. For Caitlin, she likes animation, so finding schooling for her to go do that, how to do laundry, how to, pay bills. They teach all this stuff that you need to know.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what they should be teaching in school.